Good morning, everyone. So let's get started. Let me share my screen. Can someone confirm if they are able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So yesterday we had automated some page, right? So on this URL we kind of entered some data, selected something, and so let me execute that. I click run as Java. We have automated this page, and here we have entered first name, last name, gender, and selected some hobby, and then skill. So yeah, yesterday we had gone through this select thing. So how do we generally select? So this select is kind of bit different from entering text and selecting something, right? Clicking something. So clicking this check boxes, radio buttons. So these are bit different than this select, because select here we don't enter any value. We just directly select from a drop down. So for those things, what we generally do is we have this select class. So we basically have to create object of that select class, and then but before that, we have done is we have identified the element. So on this element, let's say if our element was this, or let's say for soft skills we already did, right? So we just right click on skills, and then we have got, if you inspect, so it is a select tag. So only select tag would work on this by this select thing. So if it has select tags, and then it would have n number of options, so we can get all options as well if we want, and then perform whatever we want. So here what we did was we identified this object based on this id. So this select had id, or just locate it with uh, the tools that we get to identify locations, right? Selectors hub or crow path, you can locate that element. Or but basically I would prefer if you write kind of your own text paths. And yeah, any element, if it is not there, then write your own X path. If with that as well, if you're not able to do, then only you try to use those things. So here we have identified that element with id, and that element we have stored in a variable called skills element. And then so when we create select class, the object of this select thing, so select would basically accept a parameter which is web element, right? So that web element we have passed. We can write it this way, or instead of this, so this thing inside this we can write it. So we don't have to do this one. We can directly say select this thing equals to new select, and then driver dot find element of this the element which we want to do. So this way or that way, anything whatever is your kind of preferred one. So basically, but a good practice is kind of create an variable and then use that variable here. And then since we have created an object, now object dot when you say, so if you see here, object dot when you say, so you get methods that are defined in this designed in this particular class, right? Whatever are written. So here we have deselect. So if you want to, if something is selected on that screen and we want to deselect, so manually when you do, so there are multiple things selected, and then manually if you want in a testing, you just have to deselect and see if it is working or not. So you might do that testing as well, right? So those kind of operations as well you can perform in using here. So that way you can use the other methods whichever is there. So for our requirement, what we have, we just want to select, so get selected first selected option. If you want what is the first selected option, you can get that. Or our thing is select by index, select by value, select by visible text. So these are the three. So index, as I said, so we did already by index, right? So index 2 in the sense 0, it starts from basically 0 and 0 1 2. So that's why it selects the this particular thing. So based on index, whatever index it has, it would select that value. And what else? So here, so instead of index, what we can do other thing is, so here we are selecting by visible text, because in general testing as well, when we do, so how we select if we want some value, so based on a text, right? Out of this, okay, we want Microsoft Outlook. If we say that, then we need to we basically doing it with text, right? So same way we also say in automation, do it by visible text. And if not, you don't want to use this method, then you there's another method which is select by value. So what this select by value would do, again, select by value. So if you inspect, so that particular tag or options should have that property value at attribute, then only you can use that thing. So here for an option, you see value tag is there. So analytics, it is same. So sometimes here it would be something and here it would be something. So it is not like value and the inner text. This is text, right? Visible text or inner text, whatever it is. So this can be different based on how developer has written. It would be that way. So so be just careful when you are taking whichever property you are just doing. So instead of taking these values, you can take this way. So select by value and then enter that value over here. That's it. So it would select by value. But then I would generally recommend to use visible text only, and then this one would select whatever the text is there. So this was using the select tag. So yeah, anyone have any doubts or they want to ask something till now, whatever we had discussed? So clear. Yeah, fine. Then what else? So similar way, now if we want to say we want to select this date of birth, a year, all these things, right? How do you do? Just right click, inspect on that particular year. This is year one, right? So we are selecting year. So what is the location? You can take placeholder year or ID. ID is year, this thing. So we can use ID, and after selecting this, we can again so another select we want to do, right? So we can select uh, what are we selecting here, or select this is date of birth year, right? So I would say dob year equals to new select, giving some kind of proper name. O select, we don't know what this O select is. This is skills, right? So instead of say giving O select, you can say skills skills dot select by visible text. So even for readability purpose, it looks good. So here date of birth year I'm saying, and then here inside this driver dot find element by dot. So what's the property that we are taking? We are taking ID. So by dot ID is what we can identify, and then in this double quotes give that value. So this is the syntax. So same way here we have done select object we have created, this object dot now select by. So select by index or value. So I would, as I said, we'll just prefer visible text. And what visible text we want to give? So date of birth, year when you see, so we have these numbers, right? I would say 1990, let's take. So 1990 this way. Now this statement would select here as 1990. Same way for month and day, you can do it. How? Just inspect, get this. So we have what placeholder, and seems like there is no other property. So you can write XPath here. So based on this placeholder, let's see if we can write, or use the Firebug if you're. So the tag is select, and there are 6 select tags here. So at the rate placeholder is my this thing, placeholder and month. So in single quotes I want. So we have got this XPath. So this XPath we can use for our next one. So similar way here, create object for select bob. This is month. So for month you can say select of driver dot find element py dot, or just create a web element for that and then do it. I'm identifying this through XPath this way. Then dob dot month. How would you select? By visible text. And then what's the visible text? So which one? So if you see options here, options would have that value. So just be careful when you are doing. So better to say, if you want say August, you want to select, copy, select that text, copy it from here, because sometimes there might be some spaces here. So as it is, whatever here, you won't be able to see if April has some spaces or not. So just don't write this thing directly. Instead of that, if you can inspect this thing, so try to get that value from here, just copy paste it. So copy here and then paste it here. That's it. So same way for other fields also you can do it, and then enter this field, click submit or refresh, whatever button you want. And then yeah, the other thing is here you see we have what yeah, uploading a file. So let's say this functionality, or I would, so this one we have automated it. That's what I'll create one another class for file upload. Just don't want all this stuff. So what are we doing? Just opening the Chrome browser, maximizing it, waiting this implicit time. So sorry, yeah, for about time I need to select. So first I'll complete this thing, and then we'll just go back to the weights that are available in Selenium. So here we have opened this URL, and upon opening this URL, so let's say it is refreshed, we would get this screen, right? Then what you have to do, so you have to upload this file upload option we get, right? So in that case, how would you do? So you can either, so if you just, so what you have to do, just click on this choose file, and then give some select some file, right? uh, Let me select some file and just say open. So here we get this thing. So whatever file we have selected, it gets here. So this is how we generally upload file, right? So same way how we can perform through automation. What I'll do is, first we'll try to inspect this. Just refresh this. So we get this screen, right click, inspect. inspect this choose file. So when you mouse over, you see you are getting an input tag. So this complete field is highlighting, right? So this is div and this is input. So you can just try to see the DOM as well sometimes. When you mouse over, which field is highlighting under what, and then you would kind of get used to these things. So it's better, I would recommend try writing XPath some for few elements, and then you might get some doubts and you can ask me in the next sessions. I'll try to explain in more detail that whatever doubt you might have. So here for an input, so since there is an input thing involved here for a file to upload, the easiest thing would be you can just directly identify this element. So how we can identify? We know we have ID right here. So take this ID and come here. So we are uploading file, right? So driver dot, so find that element first. So find element by dot through ID. Since we have ID for that element, this ID we have found it, right? Let's say we will take this in a variable web element choose file element is there, right? This is choose file element. Let's say I've created this variable, and then so for file upload, what we have to do is driver dot find element this dot, you just directly you can do send keys itself, and send keys here you can pass the file path of the one that you want to use it. So here if you see what's the file that I want to pass, click here. I'll just take the property first. So whichever file I want to upload, we would have a complete path, right? So this path I want, file path, to copy it. What we can do, other thing is we can just pass that path and open. So when you say this one as well, you see that file gets uploaded, right? So we have got that file path is correct. So here in the send case, since the tag for this element is input, that's why if it is input, the send keys would work. If it is not input, then the send keys won't work. In that case, we need to do some other stuff. So for now, since it is input in send case, here I would just enter that path. Now I'll just close this. Here, I'll execute this. Now you can see if that file is being uploaded or not. So I've executed it. So you see here, once it has done, so we have got this, which means file was uploaded successfully, right? So yeah, this one would only work when you have, as I said, the tag should be input. So if it is different, then we have to do normal the other ways. So we have something called robot IT, robot auto IT. With those are the other tools wherein we can use it. So let's say if this was not an input, and then we wanted to identify it. So how would we do? So this was a simple way, and I'll just disable this for now. Okay. So through other modes, if we want, how to do. So as we were doing manually, so on this screen, what you did, just click on choose file. As soon as you click here, we were going and selecting some file, right? So we already have that path. So if I see, so this path, let's say this path. So this is our path. I just paste somewhere here. Yeah. Sorry. So here, you see, we have entered in the file location. We just what we do is click on this, and what our approach, what I'm saying is, so when you get a window, if so already you would have your mouse location here. So under this file name, so what you have to do is just path name, if you enter here, and then just click enter button from your mouse. So with that as well, you are able to upload file, right? So if that input is not there, and then we are doing it this way, we can also use this way. So how to automate this particular stuff? So what you have to do here is, the first step is basically we need to find element. So we already have this element that we have found, but okay, let's execute, and then if we get error, I'll show you. So we have found element, and then on this element, our first step is to click, right? So we are clicking. Okay, so as soon as we click, we get this window, and then this thing would be highlighted here, right? Our mouse is highlighted there, so which means we can enter some text over there. So how to enter some text on a different window? Now this is not a browser related actions, that's why we cannot inspect this element and do send keys here. So we can't do that way, because this uh, your desktop stuff. So Selenium can only automate the browser related stuff. That's why here what you have to do is you need to use your keyboard action. So here keyboard, if you type something, so instead of this you can type the path of file wherever that file is, and then just hit enter. If that file path is correct, it says okay, it uploads that. If it is not, then it gives some error. So here, that's why we just need to make sure whatever file path we are uploading, that is present, and we are giving the correct path here. So second step is to give the path, right? So how to give that path? So here in this Java, we have a class called robot. So robot, just first of all, we will create an object again for this robot class, because we want to access non-static methods inside this. So create robot class, the object of that, and when you mouse over, you would get from java.awt. So use this, and then so this one again, it gives error saying either surround this might give some exception. So exceptions we already know, right? And it gives AWT type of exception. So either you can handle that by adding this throws declaration, or surround with try catch. So try catch we have already seen. So throws declaration, if you just click this here onto your method, it just adds that exception here. So if you add this thing, so this is handled internally, it would be handled. If something error occurs in this based on this exception that is handled, it kinds of give the user the exception details. So that's why we do it that way. So we have created robot class object, and then we have what's next. So if you see what methods or what this class is having, so inside this methods you see there are some methods, internally some methods written: mouse move, mouse press, and then all these things. So instead of going to this class, if you just say that object name dot, so here you would get, so delay, if you want to delay, get auto delays, and then key press, key release, mouse move, mouse press. If you want to do mouse related actions or press some function keys and all, so you can use this particular robot class. Let's say here first thing is we want to generally, if a path is copied, let's say something is copied, so here on this screen what we do, we press control key and then V to paste, right? So same way, what we will do is we'll copy the file path and then we will come here, say control and V. So it would paste that path here. So I'll show you before this thing gets complicated. So here robot dot, what we want to do, first step is we want to press the key. So press key, if we say, so key press is a method. So robot dot key press, inside this we would have what, key event class, a static class dot, if you see you would key first last location vk, and then uh see control clear caps copy, so all these function keys f1 f2, if these things if there's a requirement for, in your application you want to enter, press f7 f10 f12 something here, so you can use this key event robot class, create object of that, key press, do this, select this. So same way other things, home button if you want, all these number pads, all these methods are available. For our requirement we want to just press control, right? So say here key event dot, you have this vk underscore control. So just instead of this you want control, right? Say control key, if you see you get this particular vk underscore control. So this is key event. So this key event is what we are looking for now. So with this particular line of code, what it does is it press, it presses this control key, control is pressed, then what we would do, and we have to paste, right? So for paste what we do, again robot, whatever object we have created, key press, and then key event is what we have created, key event dot we want, and v in the sense vk underscore v is the uh, syntax for pressing v of our keyboard. So with this key press, we are pressing control button and we are pressing V. So control and V would be performed in our this thing. So after this, what is that we want to do? But before this, we haven't anywhere copied the path of this file, right? So if you are just pasting control, first of all you need to do control C, then only control V, right? So here we are doing control V, if you see now. So before this particular things, what you can do is there is another syntax wherein you can copy something to your clipboard. So how would you do that? So we have something called string selection class, again object of that string selection, this thing, and then just say I would give some object creation, right? So some name we would give, so I'll give ss equals to new string selection. So this is the object creation of string selection class. So inside this, whatever you give, so let's say here we want to give something that we want to copy, and then after this there is toolkit dot get default toolkit. So here we get this default toolkit, right? So we want this particular method dot get system clipboard. So as I said, we want to copy some content, right? So basically, if here also when you say do this, right click copy, when you see, so what it does is it copies this thing in the clipboard backend. Internally it would do. So same thing we are doing it, get system clipboard. Here we are trying to set that. So set content, what is that we want to set? We want to set our object, whatever we would give here, that we are copying, and then we are setting it here. And then the second parameter, we just have to give null value. So here what we want to copy, we want to copy our file path, right? So this file path, or directly you can give it here, or instead of this, here you can create a file path variable, let's say, and in double quotes you can paste this. So you have created one variable called file path. File path you have given here, and in here you are just sending that. So which means basically this string selection is having this value. So that value we have given here, and then default toolkit. So with this particular thing, it copies this whole stuff. And after that, what we are doing, we have created object of the robot class. We said control V. We are just pressing it. Once we press control V, you come here. Since that is copied, it press control and V. It does this, and then the both thing is copied actually. And now after a key press, you also have to release those keys whatever you have done. So how to release? Again, same method. So instead of this, so we would have robot dot release, let's say release. So if you see release, you would get key release. So which key you want to release, whatever we have pressed, we have to release it. If you don't, then that control key would be already be pressed. Until unless manually you click, it won't release. So here key release, whatever key we have pressed, we would release it. So first thing, we'll release control, and then, or we can release V as well, right? So this one. So same thing, copy this. I'll just release once control V, and then control. So I'm just releasing this step by step. So key press, key release, I've done. And next, so key press key release, what it does is it comes here. If that path is copied, it copies here. After opening this window, it just say control V. And then what is next action? We want to hit enter button, right? So again, same way, press and release. So we have to do both things. So robot dot press, which key we want? Key event dot enter is the button. So this syntax would press key, right? Again, same thing. Instead of press key, we would just release it. Release. After pressing, we will just release it. So that is done. So with this particular line of code, so what we have done, we have just copied our path, file path, into the clipboard. How we did? Through this particular class object creation, and then set it, and then we have created robot class object, and then we are pressing any keyboard related events, we can do it this way. And so this is done, right? Now if you just say right click, run, let's see what all errors we get it. So I'll also show you when we get this errors how generally we just have to try different ways if something doesn't work. So nothing is happening here, right? No file is uploaded. And if you go to this, it seems like there is some error. What is that error? So invalid argument. So we have got some invalid argument here. And at which line? Here if you see Java 54. So element dot click. Sorry. So this one, I'll just write afterwards. So element dot click. So which means it is not able to click this uh, ID that we have given. Why it is not able to click? Because here if you see the path that we have given is of input, and on input it is not able to click. Basically it can click on the div element. So instead of giving it click over input, we just try to give this path. So this one, yeah. So one step back I would go after this div. So how to identify first of all this path? uh, let's say input, and then id is this at the rate id equals to, so it is highlighting, I'll say forward slash two dots, which means it is going back. So I want this path, particularly this div location, and on this I want to click, because input we won't be able to click, that's why it is not clicking. There we are getting error. So I want to identify this thing not with id, I want this to XPath of this. So now if you see execute, you see what happens. See, it has done, but the file name v is control v, it has done and entered. So something is wrong here, right, in our code. So what is wrong? So where is our string selection? We have given it here, and then we already set it and then created control, and we it is just giving key event press and release. We have given press and release. So those things we have already given, and I think some since it might be doing few things uh, in a quicker way, so it's not waiting. So we'll just try to keep some waits. So we have copied here. We have something called robot dot delay, right? Or set auto delay. So delay of milliseconds. So 1 second if you want, 1000 we just have to give. So same way if you want 2 seconds or something, we can say 2000. So 2 seconds is what we mean to set. So for every action, let's see if this would work. See, it's waiting. Auto delay we have set. So for each action, it waits for the 2 seconds and then enters. So this thing is uh, earlier without this particular line of code, it was doing things in very faster way, and that screen is only not there, and it is trying to perform all those things. So key, control V and all this. So that's why we need some delay. So that's why I've given this delay thing. So I hope with this robot IT, like if sometimes there are very rare scenarios of this thing wherein the file or the element whatever is there, it wouldn't have input. Most of them might have input, but for few, if they don't, then identify that path, and you can upload file in this way as well. And auto it, that is again a different one. So let's not make things complicated. For now, we'll just stick with this thing. So yeah, anyone have any doubts or they want to ask anything, open to ask. Yeah, so thread dot sleep as well. If yeah, you can use that thread dot sleep, Rahul. But again, thread dot sleeps, where do you have to set is for, yeah, next thing I'll say you about this thread dot. So if you use thread dot sleep, basically we would halt that particular execution for that specified time, right, Rahul? So here what we have to do is, uh, for each and every step, so if something is not missing here, we have to write uh, thread dot sleep. So and then 2 seconds, yeah, you can do this way. And again, you need to set in this thing. So you can add multiple these things here, or else instead of all this, you can just take exception, and then you don't even need other ones. So you can throw exception. So exception is a parent for all, right? So we can just throw exception, and any exception that occurs, it would be handled with that exception class. So here thread dot sleep you have done here, and then what you have to do is you have to write it, check it properly. Something is not working, then one by one step you might have to do, okay, after this, and I want to wait here, so you might have to do it this way, write it multiple places, and make things work. But here robot class would give us an inbuilt method set auto delay. So what it does is automatically this particular delay is applied throughout this object wherever it is created. So we don't have to write this again and again.
Okay. Fine. So after every line, we need to add thread or sleep if we use it.
Yeah, because this would be very faster, quickest way, right? So in this thing, sometimes it would work, sometimes it might not. Then just to make our scripts robust, stable, we kind of want to make our script look better. So I would suggest we use this set auto delay for this particular action.
Okay.
Yeah.
This delay is from Java code or it is a Selenium
The Java. This is completely
Java
from
code?
Java. So if you see
Okay.
package Java, from Java it is coming, and all this keyboard actions, whatever we are doing, is from Java.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else have any doubts? Yeah. So if no further doubts, then I'll move on with the next one. So I was saying about weights, right? Now we'll move on. Where is that? So here, if you see, we have used implicit weight, right? And this one as well, we have used implicit weight. If you see what happens if you don't use implicit weight, execute. So what happens is all these actions would be performed in a faster way, right? So since the page is still loading, and then but our code, if you see, okay, sometimes it loads, but that is okay, driver dot get. Oh, this is not the proper example that I have to say the reason for this. So here we have the other classes also. So basically what happens is, if uh, if some line of code we have used, say we have opened Chrome browser here, maximized it, and if there is no wait driver, what we are doing is we are uh, loading a URL. As soon as the URL is still loading, and then what we are trying to do is we are trying to perform the other actions, whatever the other steps. So Java, it doesn't wait for saying, okay, since the page is loading, I would need to stop. So Java doesn't know that. So that's why in those particular scenarios or cases we use general weights here. So how, what are the other weights that are available here? One thing from Java we get is thread dot sleep, just now whatever we were discussing. So instead of this we can use thread dot sleep at whichever step we feel some page would load. After clicking something here, the page might load, right? So it might be loading this way. So we can specify some time. So here we can use thread dot sleep. So we can use thread dot sleep, and in milliseconds we need to say. So if you want 5 seconds, 5,000 is what you have to specify. So for 5,000, if you want to uh, exception. So 5,000 5 seconds, if you just have to wait, you would have to use this syntax. So thread dot sleep, this is again from Java, it is coming. So thread dot sleep 5 seconds, 5,000, if you say 5 seconds, it would wait. So after executing this line and before it executes the next line, it would kind of wait, stop our execution for that specified time. So it halts our execution, this thing. And so if our requirement is that way, we can use thread dot sleep. But again, let's say there are 100 steps, and out of that 100 steps, uh, 50 steps are there wherein we might have to wait for some amount of time. At one step we want 10 seconds, at one step we want 30 seconds, at one step we want 2 seconds. So if we use thread dot sleep, you can use maximum, if you use maximum time, let's say 30 seconds. So at each and every step, first of all we need to add this thread dot sleep. And also in after, to execute each and every step of that, it waits for 30 seconds, even if some page is loaded, let's say. And uh, yeah, 30 seconds wait time we have given, but within 2 seconds the page has loaded and we can perform the next action. But still, due to that thread dot sleep, it is not performing, it would wait for the specified time. And that's why in that case we shouldn't be using this hard coded wait, what we generally say, the static wait. So here, uh, thread dot sleep. So instead of this thread dot sleep, what we have to use is some other wait. So in Selenium we have implicit wait, we have explicit wait, we have fluent wait. So fluent wait is kind of again a bit advanced, I would just not want you guys to confuse with. So for this training part, we'll just discuss about implicit and explicit. So implicit you already know. Now what this implicit would do, whatever the issue I was saying, right? So each, at each and every step, if there are 100 steps, 50 steps might need some wait time, some might need 10 seconds, some might need 30 seconds and all. So in those particular cases, those scenarios, we can define implicit wait to our driver, to our browser. Basically, to our browser we can define implicit wait with this particular syntax. And then this one over here for the time duration of seconds, and you have different these things. So duration dot of, so you have days you want to wait, or hours you want to wait, millis, minutes, nanoseconds, all these things. So for now we just want, let's say 30 seconds. 30 seconds is more than enough. So 30 seconds is what we are giving. So with, which means we are applying some implicit wait to our browser. So implicit wait would be basically associated with the driver, our browser instance, the driver instance, right? So this thing. So now you don't have to write again and again implicit wait here, implicit wait here, like 100 steps, 50 steps. If you want 50 times, you don't have to copy paste, just write it once. And then throughout the driver instance, this particular time would be applied. So let's say 30 seconds we have given. And between these particular actions, if we want, let's say after this action is performed, next is the page loads, and it takes 2 seconds. So implicit time is already applied, so after 2 seconds it's wait. So implicit wait, what internally does is it kind of waits for every like half a second. It kind of checks if the page is loaded, if whatever the next element it is trying to do is available on the page or not. If that is there, if it is available, till then it just kind of waits. And within that period of time, whatever we have mentioned, if that element is not found, then at the end it would throw a error saying element was not found. So implicit wait, we get error only when the specified time is over and the page is still loading. So in that case, we might get that error. So in that case, we can increase the timeout. But again, if you increase this to maximum time, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, something, so since this would be applied throughout the browser instance, so wherever you are kind of expecting an error, so before it throws an error, it waits for that 1 or 2 minutes. So at that particular places, again this implicit wait might get affected. So just be careful how much exactly time you want, and keep that particular amount of time only, because since this would be applied throughout the driver instances. So for some particular instance wherein you might need some extra time, so here 30 seconds, and there is some element after this particular let's say after this particular action. So after performing this at this particular element, so if I want to create click on this create this element, so we need extra time, the page is loading, and then the this thing gets uh, visible or loaded completely. In that case, what we can do is we can use the explicit wait. The next thing that I wanted to tell is explicit wait. So how to use that explicit wait? What we have to do is we need to create object for WebDriver wait again, and give some object creation name equals to new WebDriver wait. So create object of this. Okay, just mouse over on this, select from UI, and then this WebDriver wait accepts some parameters. One is WebDriver and the other is duration, how much time. So WebDriver is what? WebDriver we have already defined, right? Here WebDriver, if you see, so which we have given as driver. So that driver we need to pass here one argument, comma, another is time. So in earlier Selenium 3 version, before this 4, we just had to say okay 30 seconds if you want. This syntax was for uh, Selenium 3, older versions of 4, before 4. But for Infos they have done some advanced some settings. So instead of giving it time here, what we have to say is here you need to say duration dot of seconds is a method. So here you can specify, okay, for this I just want 10 seconds. So we can use that 10 seconds. So this is how we create WebDriver wait. And explicit wait generally explicit wait, this is generally applied only to one particular step. So through driver instance, this implicit is applied, but some elements might take after this element to this element. It kind of needs more time. So other than this 30, like 1 minute, if it needs. So here you can say, okay, you need one element, so 1 minute. So off seconds, instead of that, you use off minutes, and then 1 minute. If you say 1 minute to do, or second 60 seconds, you say give something like that. So here we can give that value, and then only this web explicit wait is applied to the next step wherever it is there. So wherever you have written, only to that particular variable only it would be applied. So here if I say wait dot, so what are the other methods that are available? So wait dot until, so there are many things, but we'll just focus on our syntax. So wait dot until is a method. Here again, expected conditions, so which is coming from UI, we need that. So expected conditions dot, so what are the explicit wait? So on what basis do you want to wait? What condition is what you want to give? So I might have to wait for a particular element to load, for a particular element to be visible, for a particular element to be present. So based on those things also we can write. Okay, So here we have all those details. So alert is present, or attribute and element visible, frame to be visible, frame and all I'll tell you later. So element to be clickable, so some element we want to click, or this thing, or presence of element located, text to be present, visibility of element, presence. So you see presence of some element, so present of element, so some let's say we want to give this, so presence of element located, and again here by dot with what, so xpath we are finding, right, next element. So by dot xpath until this with this particular property, if it is visible, just wait till then is what we are trying to say, right? Then this is what how we give, and then after performing this, so next step, so this WebDriver wait is there, and it just wait for a presence of element with this thing. So it waits until this particular element is present on the page, and then within that period of time, again same like 10 seconds, 2 seconds, within that 2 seconds if it is there, it would just continue, element is found, and then it continues with the execution. So this is how we use WebDriver wait. I guess the time is over now. So yeah, anyone has any doubts they want to ask? I guess if there are no doubts, then we are good to close this session. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you then. So next things will continue tomorrow.